Hey y'all, hey! Welcome to my channel. I am Dom. I am your host, and this is where we are late, but we are reacting. Hello. So I've done a few shorts for this new page and all of that so far, but this is going to be my first long form video for this channel, and of course we're going to be talking about this Diddy documentary. Of course, that's where we're going to start, right? I hope I don't make this too long. But yeah, this is something to talk about because this is a big thing. This is a big story, rather, in the culture. And it has been for the past two and a half years at this point. Now, again, I am 40 years old. So with being 40 years old, we'll take you back in time a little bit to the bad boy era, which was about 25, 30 years ago at this point. So I said that to say that I grew up in that era where Bad Boy was like popping. They were everywhere. Those artists, Lil Kim, Locks. Mace was my first rap crush ever. He was just everything. Total, 112. I think I said 112 already. Craig Mack, like all of the G-Dep, all of those artists that were on Bad Boy when they were at their apex. Like, that's the era I grew up in. That was like middle school to high school years for me. So it was very formidable in my development. So I've actually been watching Diddy and everything Diddy's had going on for a very long time, obviously. And nothing in this documentary, well, backtrack, I won't say nothing, because there are a few things that were very like, what? I gasp. But a lot of this stuff is just reiterating or confirming stuff that we've heard for decades when it comes to Sean, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Papa Diddy Pop Combs, okay? Now, first of all, I never watched any of the other documentaries that came out before this one. And of course, the documentary, I didn't say the name of it, The Reckoning of Sean Combs. It was EP'd, executive produced by 50 Cent. And I think that's part of the reason why I actually watched this one, because it was like, the petty God strikes again. I know people feel some kind of way about 50 Cent, and rightfully so, because he be doing the most sometime. But as a Cancer, specifically a July Cancer like 50 Cent, I totally get it. I get it, because he does seem nice enough if you like pay attention to his other interviews outside of the bullshit he be doing sometime. If you pay attention to him talk, he seems very smart. He seems very business minded. Apparently he's business minded. Look at the whole Power universe and everything he's created around that, right? But he also has a very petty, very mean, very vengeful and spiteful part of him as well. And it's very Cancer of him. It's very Cancerian. And again, as a July Cancer myself, I get it. So there's not really anyone who can make me hate 50 Cent. He be petty, but again, I get it. He really don't bother nobody unless you try to run off on him or try to play him. And I connect with 50. So I think that's one of the big reasons why I was like, okay, I'll watch this documentary, because I'm not big on groupthink. I'm not really huge on going with the wave. I like to do my own thing, find things on my own time and all of that. But again, this is Diddy. This story is huge. I think we all were super shocked when Cassie dropped the lawsuit and everything that was in it. So with this kind of following up to what happened after and leading up to him going to jail and all the things was like interesting to watch, right? So immediately when it opens, you have the cameraman like right here in Diddy's face as he's on the phone with Mark Agnifilo, which is one of his attorneys. And my first thing that I thought was like, wait, how in the hell did 50 Cent get a hold of this footage anyway? Because this is personal. This is private, like very intimate. Like, how did he get this? And then when I did my little research, come to find out, he got this because what was being recorded was something that Diddy decided he was going to do to try to, market / prepare for his comeback. The narcissistic tendencies in this man. And again, If you all follow me on my other channel, Late But Blooming, where we talk about narcissistic abuse and narcissistic personality traits and how to survive and thrive and all of that in those type of environments, when I tell you I saw all those narcissistic traits like right there, it was all just like popping like fireworks, right? And of course, again, everyone says narcissist, narcissist, narcissist. That's like the buzzword for the past couple years. Great, granted, wonderful, we get it. But John Combs, ain't no way in the world you're gonna tell me that man is not a narcissist. That is a narcissist. It is peak narcissism for you to sit and have a cameraman following you and recording you and all of this while you're in the middle of a trial, a RICO case about to go in front of a grand jury for a RICO charge. But you're so worried about your image. You're like, yeah, because I'm going to get off. You already know in your brain, you're going to get off. It's because you're Diddy. It doesn't matter what the evidence says, any of that. I'm Diddy. So I'm going to get off. I can do what I want, right? So that in itself shows that you are arrogant as hell to even be thinking like, okay, when I get out from this, because I'm going to get out because this ain't going to be nothing for me. We're going to put this documentary out and then I'm going to keep living my life as business as usual, right? Like, what the fuck is that? That cameras following you should be the least of your concern in a time like that. So that was the first thing that stuck out to me that was like, whoa. And then, of course, because you got arrested, you didn't have anyone pay the people that you got the footage, had the people following you around to get footage for. So this is how 50 Cent obtained the footage, because he paid the people that Diddy didn't pay. So now the stuff that you were going to use to market yourself, to promote and push yourself and put you back onto the trajectory that you thought you were going to be able to just go back to because you're Diddy, you didn't pay them people. So he was able to swoop in, pay the fee, and now use that against you. Like, we didn't think about that because we just think that we're so above reproach and we're so above penalizing and we're so above any type of accountability because he's been doing this for decades, since the early 90s. When they showed that footage from the stampede that happened at City College in New York, when he over promoted that basketball game and that event, 9 people died. 9 people died, and he was like 21 years old. And that was the moment where this monster really like took form, because instead of getting any type of punishment, any type of penalty, or really doing anything, real punishment, because of course he got fines and all of that, but real punishment, because people died. People paid $12 to get into that event, and 9 people died. So not only did people lose their life, but you have people who are permanently traumatized by seeing so many people lose their life at one time at an event that was supposed to be fun. And instead of getting any punishment, this man became more famous. What? So of course now he thinks, oh, I'm invincible. So it just grows and progresses and gets worse. It's a snowball, right? So eventually he becomes an A&R. I personally, there have been theories out there about Diddy and his sexuality and all of that long before any of the actual evidence came out. And one of those rumors, allegedly situations, was that he was messing with L.A. Reid, that they had like an intimate relationship. That's how he was able to climb the ladder so fast. Allegedly. Rumor has it. That was a thing. That's why, like I said, he was able to climb up so fast on top of going over there and messing with Clive. Allegedly. Rumor has it. And I kind of believe it. I don't doubt it. I wasn't there, of course, but I don't doubt it. Because if you even look at some of the photographs and all of that were taken of them back during those days, and some of the pictures that were showed during the documentary, they look very, very close. And they're very, very intimate. It's very close. But again, none of this stuff really surprises me. I was shocked when I saw Kalina Harper. And as a part of the documentary, just because of everything that she was saying before the trial, like when Dawn dropped her lawsuit and she was talking she dropped her lawsuit and stuff, and Kalina literally came out and was like, I don't know what she's talking about. Basically, I've never seen that. That might be her experience, but not mine. I don't know what you're talking about. So when she was in the documentary, kind of flip-flopping a little bit, I was like, but then if you watch her mannerisms and you look at like even how her eyes are kind of fixated and everything as she's talking, I do believe, unfortunately, that she did fall victim to his get him drugged up and pass him along kind of program that he had. A lot of his female artists, and a lot of artists, period, a lot of men were drugged too, for him to take advantage of and all that. Excuse me. I do definitely believe that she got hooked on some drugs in dealing with him and trying to work with him. Because that was a part of the pipeline. I believe it was Gene Deal, which was one of Diddy's security guards back during that time. I believe he was on a podcast, Art of Dialogue, on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right because I watched a lot of Art of Dialogue interviews with Gene. And he was saying how he overheard Diddy talking about Danity Kane in particular, and about how he was planning to basically get them hooked on drugs and pimp them out throughout the industry. Like that was the plan for Danity Kane. He got those girls. He didn't see them as being profitable, and that's something that you can even go back and they said that themselves back then, because when they first released their first album, he didn't even put a lot, press a lot up for them to sell because he didn't believe in it musically. He was just there for the MTV paycheck and, like I said, the background stuff to basically pimp them out. But he didn't expect them to pop the way they did. But even then, like that was a part of the MO. Get them hooked on drugs and then you do what you want with them. So it was not surprising at all to see Kalina in the state that she is in currently. And I really do hope that she, can get back to being as dope as she is, because she is very talented music-wise. She's a great songwriter, but you could tell that she's going through a lot right now, and a lot of it is stemming from she seems to be hooked on drugs, or at least used to be, but I feel like maybe still is, allegedly, assumption, allegedly, which is very sad. It's very sad. So then, who else was on the documentary? Mark Curry. He's so funny. Mark Curry is hilarious. He's another one. I've watched a lot of interviews with him on Art of Dialogue and stuff like that. Him talking about his experience. He also has a book where he talks about his time during the industry. It's in my Amazon cart. I need to buy it. But the reviews on it seems like it's really good. But he was talking about his time, of course, and his experience. And just how, and we've seen it, how all those artists on Bad Boy, they were super popping. They had the spotlight. They couldn't go nowhere without people knowing their names. But he would not pay them. He would not give them any of their money. And if he gave them some money, it was very little money. It was work, but no pay, right? So, of course, people still hate his ass to this day, and rightfully so. Because how in the hell are you millionaire, multimillionaire, almost billionaire status, whatever the case? Of course, that's different now because of all of this. But how you reach that status when all of the artists on your label, all of them, except for Mace, because Mace got out early. Mace didn't even drop that second album. It was like, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm going to go about my business. And at the time when Mace did that, because again, I was a huge Mace fan, so it really hurt my heart for him to drop Harlem World. And then by the time Double Up was getting ready to come out, which was his sophomore album, he was done with rap. He was like, I don't want to do this no more. Diddy be partying all crazy. He want to do too much. I don't want to do this no more. I'm going to become a Christian and I'm going to church. So when he first did that, I was like, wait, what? My 14, 15-year-old brain was like, huh? But you're so cute, and I love seeing you on the TV, and I love your raps, bad boy for life. But now in my adult mind and seeing all that has been revealed of what they were probably going through at that time, I absolutely understand why he got the fuck out of Dodge. So it's probably why he still has a little bit of the money that he has, because everybody else was broke. Everybody else ain't got no money. Toto was working at the, what was it, White Castle, I think they was saying? White Castle? Why is Pam, lead singer from Toto, one of the most popular R&B groups in the 90s, early 2000s, working at the goddamn White Castle? Because Diddy didn't want to pay her money. But his ass is all over the place. Excuse me? Ew. So of course I understand why no one really fucks with him and why no one came out to defend him when this was happening besides corny people on the internet and free Diddy, whatever. But no real, his friends, industry connects, blah, 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 came out to support him, because everyone knows this man has been on bullshit for decades and decades and should have been went to jail a long time ago. Then it comes to talking about Biggie. Now, this part, like I said, it wasn't surprising. It was more confirming for me, simply because, again, grew up during this era, during the East Coast, West Coast beef thing. And this happened in when I was in 6th grade. And I vividly remember this because by the time both of them had been killed, like I said, I was in 6th grade and I wrote an unsolicited English paper about the whole situation and then the East Coast, West Coast issue and all of that. I wrote a whole paper about it. So it was in 6th grade. I remember it vividly. But my dad, bless his soul, may he rest in peace, continue to rest in peace. He always, and I mean always stood 10 toes down on the belief that that man is the reason why Biggie was killed. And now for, like I said, all the details to start coming out, especially hearing them from Kirk Burroughs. And that's another person that was really, really, really good to hear from. And that he got a lot of time to talk because, as it was mentioned in this documentary, Kirk Burroughs was so fundamental when it came to making Bad Boy what it was at that time. I mean, the business end, the huge businessman that Diddy makes himself look like, that's really Kirk Burroughs. He did all the business stuff, all the scheduling, all the paperwork, all the filings, all the making sure the money was here and make sure flights are there. Kirk did all of that. Diddy was the dancing face. He was the talking head of it all, just because he talks so fucking much. And he's a fucking con artist, so he can get you to do whatever you want if you let him talk long enough. But Kirk is the one who was actually doing the heavy lifting that got Bad Boy to where it was at. And it's multiple artists that were on Bad Boy at the time, and even said it in this documentary. That it was because of him that Bad Boy got to be as successful as it is. So it was really good to hear him talk and hear his perspective on how things went. It really sucks that they bullied that man out of his stake in Bad Boy. But again, that's because he was working with a con artist, and that's what they do. Somebody should have beat Diddy ass a long time ago, if we're being honest. Because that's all he needed was a good ass whooping from a man. Because you see with the men, you don't be whooping on them like that. Yeah, you might drug them and slip them a little something so you can get busy, but you won't be whooping on them and kicking on them and doing all that bullshit that you be doing with the women's. You don't do that with the men's. And for me to find out, now one thing that was very shocking, and I'm all over the place because I didn't take notes, I'm just going off my memory, was the confirmation that he was whooping on his mama. I've always thought his mom, and the pictures of his mom when she was younger are so much better than, how she presents now. Because as she presents now, it's just like an old lady who is doing way too much to try to keep youth instead of just aging gracefully. She was a beautiful woman. She was beautiful. Janice was beautiful. And she's not a bad looking lady now. It's just you look like an old lady who's trying too hard to hold on to your youth instead of aging gracefully. But for him to be exposed to all he was exposed to so young, and just see women not be treated like they ain't shit, and then for him to turn around and then clap up his mama like she ain't shit, no other female really stood a chance when it came to him. Because if you're going to do that to your own mother, the woman who risked her life to bring you into this world, and I'll say that again because for some reason you guys are weird these days when it comes to women. But without women, you would not be in the world. Everyone who is in this world, who is walking on the face of this earth, came here by way of a woman. Whether you came through the vaginal canal or you were pulled out via C-section, you came via a woman. So all this weird ass disdain and hatred that is being put on women these days is so beyond me. I'm so confused. Nevertheless, no other woman, like I said, stood a chance with him as far as like being treated right or any of the things like that. Now, I have my own theory as to why that is, and that's in a long story, less long kind of way. I honestly feel like he is gay ultimately, but because of where he came from and who his father was, which in his head, his father was like the next big Scarface or somebody. He thought his dad was like the biggest drug dealer in the world, I guess. So he has that whole image he wants to uphold. He just won't be gay. You know what I'm saying? And because he can't be basically more in his feminine like he wants to be, he's upset with women who are able to be that. You're able to freely express yourself in a feminine way because you're a woman and you're supposed to. Whereas men, especially black men from Harlem, they're not supposed to be gay because that's not tough. That's not macho. So he has all this repressed desire and hatred and resentment and all of that inside of himself that manifests outwardly into the things that he's done and gotten away with over the years. That's my take. I'm not a psychologist. I just like psychology and the study of it, but that's how I feel about the situation. But yeah, no one stood a chance. But nevertheless, go back to Diddy and Kurt Burrows. I found it very interesting when Kurt was talking about how Diddy ended up convincing Biggie basically to go out to LA when they already knew there was beef out there. Tupac had already been killed and he just didn't want to do it. And I don't think a lot of people realize, because he's so big, like in like legacy at this point as well as stature, that Biggie was only like 24 years old. He was a kid. So it's like, okay, my boss is telling me to do this. I don't want to do it because Kirk and a couple other people said that Biggie did not want to go out to LA. He didn't want to go. He was supposed to be going to London for another event. It was actually going to be a huge event because rappers hadn't really, went overseas to do press and media and all of that. So it was going to be a big deal for him to actually be out in London, and he was scheduled to be there. And that's where he wanted to go. But per Kirk and other people, but per Kirk in this documentary, Diddy told him, no, we're not doing that. We're going to LA, cancel the flight to London. We're not doing nothing in London. We're going out to LA. He was very pressed to go send him out to LA, right? So not only were you pressed to send him out to LA, once he does get killed, you gone, right? Out the door. Even at the scene, they were supposed to be traveling, together, but suddenly you want to drive in separate cars. That's weird because that's not something they really did, right? They all traveled together. But this day y'all wanted to travel in different cars. Okay, cool, whatever. As they're driving from the Peterson Museum, Diddy in his car blows the light. They didn't tell security in Biggie's car that they were going to do that. So Biggie's car gets stopped at the light. The driver, according to the story, and the things that have been said over the course of history and time on the internet, I didn't make it up, I wasn't there. It's what I read and what I heard from Gene and other people. They blew the light, Diddy blew the light. However, Biggie and them got stuck at the light, and then they were told to put the car in park. The driver of Biggie's vehicle was told to put the car in park. Now, I'm not sure if that's what it was, but they were sitting ducks. And of course, car pulls up beside him. Biggie's killed in the car. You think Diddy turned around to go see what happened to his artist and his best friend? No. Diddy took his ass to the airport. and was gone to like San Diego within like 2 hours of it happening. Meanwhile, Biggie's body stayed in LA for a week or two before someone, sent him back home to New York. But every interview afterwards, it was, he was my best friend. He was my best friend. We were best friends. We were best friends. But if you pay attention to the documentary, his jealousy shows in the documentary. And when I say he, I mean Diddy. Because we created this whole narrative that it was an East Coast, West Coast beef, and Tupac had issues with Biggie and all of that. When them men ain't had no problem with each other. They was cool, actually. They was fans of each other. And Diddy became jealous of that. Because if it's not about him, and he's not the main star, and things aren't going the way he wants it to go, he got to play puppet master. He got to move the strings, right? So now we put out this narrative out here that there's beef, cross coast beef or whatever. And everybody ate it up because even 12-year-old 6th grade me, I was, East Coast rap. I ain't want to hear no West Coast stuff. I'm from Florida. That's on the East Coast. So that's what we listen to, East Coast stuff over here. You know what I'm saying? So it was a thing. It was propped up to be like this huge big deal when come to find out they were friends. They were close. It was just a jealous man in Sean Combs that didn't like it. Because if y'all work together, where does that leave me? Am I going to be able to make money if y'all start working together? Am I going to get cut out? Oh no, I can't have that. But if I get rid of you, then I own all your money and your masters. Sounds more of a plan to me, So unfortunately, that's how that story ended. But for him to be so disgusting, to sit there and make Biggie's funeral a recoupable expense, which essentially means that Biggie paid for his own funeral and his estate paid for his funeral. When Diddy ushered that man to his death, is absolutely insane. I mean, that is so gross on so many levels. And for you to really think about it, like really think about how much money then was thereafter made by Diddy using Biggie's name and this narrative that they was best friends. And the celebration of life and the Biggie Duets album and all. He get the masters from the albums that was already there. The album that came out posthumously. You got the Biggie Duets album. You got all kinds of Biggie merch and pictures and all of this. All that money is going to him. All that money is going to Sean. That is so fucking crazy, bro. When you say diabolical, if there's anything, and I know that's another trigger word, buzzword that is thrown around so much these days. But if you need an example of diabolical behavior, the way that man basically marched Biggie to his early grave and then put the responsibility to bury him on him and then continue to make up this story that, we were so close, we were besties, and make millions of dollars off of him. It's diabolical. It's another example of a time where he should be facing punishment, should be getting chastised, reprimanded, and all the things, because again, you set this man up, but you just get lifted up higher because now you're, I'm the lowly friend who lost not only his best artist, but his best friend, and I'm gonna keep that memory alive because it's bad boy for life, Biggie forever. When you didn't do Biggie right when Biggie was alive, because again, according to what the rumor has it, Biggie was getting ready to get the fuck up off Bad Boy because he wasn't getting paid. So not only did you have the fact that he wasn't getting paid the way he wanted to, and he was about to leave, on top of possibly hooking up with Tupac to possibly do music, because Tupac kind of didn't really like what was going on over there at Death Row, so he was kind of thinking about leaving too. Let's pit them against each other. That way I can get all the money, right? So, we even had LAPD on there. Ex-LAPD, Greg, I forgot his last name. But he's been talking about it for years as well. After Keefe D, who is allegedly the person who actually set it all up and was the one that set up the assassination of Tupac. He confessed that Diddy is the one who set up the deal. It was supposed to be $1 million bounty. He only ended up paying because Keefe said the reason that he was snitching in the first place is because he didn't get any money. But apparently, the go-between man between Keefe and Diddy got paid $500,000, but never gave Keefe any of the money, and he only got paid $500,000 because Diddy said that Suge didn't get killed the same night as Tupac, and that was the deal for both of them to die in order to get the $1 million. So since Tupac was the only one who died, only $500,000 was sent to the go-between man, who is now dead, so he can't confirm any of it. But yeah. So we have the alleged hitman on record with the LAPD and I believe one of the federal bureaus. I don't want to say which one, cause I'm not sure. I can't remember it. I can't remember it. Anyway, but literally on record with federal law enforcement saying that John Combs is the one who set up Tupac. So if you have him the one set up Tupac, you also have him responsible for Biggie passing away. Like, it's like so much over the years. And again, my father, like I said, bless his heart, rest his soul, he was always adamant, even back then when it first happened, that Diddy was responsible for Biggie getting killed. He just saw it. He saw it from the way he was moving before it happened, while they were supposed to be at the event, and then how he moved thereafter. My daddy easily picked that, yeah, he did that shit. He did it. And this documentary further proves that that's likely what happened. I do believe Voletta Wallace, which is Biggie's mom, she was still alive to see Diddy get arrested, which I just think that's amazing. I feel that's wonderful because unfortunately she never got to see actual justice for her son. But Voletta was very smart, very educated woman, very, very smart woman. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that she knew that he was responsible for her son passing away. He was responsible for that. I'm sure she knows it because as a mom, you just know when some shit is not right when it comes to your kids or people connected to your kids. You know when some shit ain't right. You can just tell. It's just a mom thing, an instinct that we have. And just the way he handled everything and the way he handled her and Biggie kids and all of that after the fact, I'm sure she knew in the back of her mind that it was him. It was him. Now, I am sad that she will never actually see him be penalized for it just because she has passed away, unfortunately. So she is reunited with her son, that's beautiful and wonderful. But it does suck that she's never going to be able to get actual victory or justice for her son's actual, who's responsible for her son being killed, which I do believe, in my honest opinion, is that man that's in that jail right now. So what else do I remember? All the stuff with Cass, and I say Cass like I know that lady. I don't know that damn lady. With Cassie, it was so sad. Like even everything from her lawsuit and all of that. I just don't like the way people handled her and still handle her, and I just don't. Yeah, the way people cape for this man and try to make excuses for what he did to her and all his other victims. I don't understand some people sometimes. Because, when I just said that, the jurors that they showed on this documentary, if they didn't get paid off, which again, alleged, I wasn't there, I don't know anything. But if they weren't paid off, they really come off that way. Because there's no way in the world you're going to sit there and watch that video of that man. Well, let's backtrack. You're not going to sit there and watch that video of that woman walking, tiptoeing quietly throughout the hotel, barefoot, trying to escape from this fucking moron. And then him running out the room in a towel, nothing but a towel. And him snatch her up and drag her across and kick her and all of that. You're not going to sit there and tell me y'all watch that. And then sit there and say, you know what? Well, she should have just left, or she didn't want to be there. She could have just left. She was fucking leaving. You saw the video. She was trying to leave. And he pulled her ass back and whooped her ass and then drug her back. So what are you talking about? She could have just left. Like that blows my mind. Like y'all act like y'all do not understand nuance. Y'all act like y'all celebrities are just so above wrongdoing, even when you are looking at them doing wrong. Oh, well, what did she do to him? It doesn't fucking matter what she did to him. If she's trying to leave and he grabs her and throws her and kicks her and does all the shit he did, ain't nothing she could have did to him that would have warranted that. That's a person. But people love to especially when it's a female. Oh my God, y'all love to tear down the victim for some celebrity asshole abuser that wouldn't piss on you. Well, he probably would, but any other one wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. Like, why y'all do that? What is that parasocial shit? We watched on video of her trying to leave and him not allowing it. So imagine how many times she tried to leave and it was not allowed. In her court document, she said that anytime she would try to leave, he would have people come bring her back. And if she didn't readily come back, he's threatening her family, he's threatening her friends, he's blowing up cars, he's kidnapping people until they tell him where she's at. Like, what are y'all talking about? One of the jurors, because they showed a male juror and a female juror, one of the jurors, the older male, he seemed like he might have been like a Pakistani or something like that, descent, something of that nature. And I only bring that up just because I know in some of those cultures, not all, some, not all, some, not all, some, they don't give a fuck about women. And we being honest. Y'all are supposed to do what they want you to do. Shut up, sit down. That's what you're supposed to do in some of those cultures. So for him to honestly sit there and say, if you didn't like it so much, why you keep coming back? You could have left. We watched the video of her trying to leave and he pulled her back and beat her ass. That's on video. So imagine what is not on video. I can only imagine all the ass whoopings that woman took just from trying to leave that man alone. And then he got her hook, line, and sinker when she was 19. Your brain isn't even fully functioning up here until you're 25. So yeah, she could have said, oh, 19, okay. I guess, and even with that, she was already in a relationship. So he forced her boyfriend out. And then I believe she said when he was on her 21st birthday party, he forcefully kissed her and all of that. This is her boss putting her in this position. So you mean to tell me if you don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that's again why they say don't put your eggs in one basket, because you put yourself in a situation that might be a little hard to get yourself out of. But she put all her eggs in this basket thinking that this man is going to do what he said he was going to do. He sees potential in me and is going to make me the star that he says he is going to make me, because I've seen him do that with others. So of course I'm going to do what he say, because I don't want to blow my shot. That's how some people think. That's most people, especially young people, think. I don't understand why we don't get that. And again, she's still young. Met her at 19, officially started dating her at 21, and he kind of forced himself in there to start dating her. So he was grooming her for 2 years before he actually started dating her. And again, she's still young. Then he signed her to a 10-album contract. 10 albums? How many artists make 10 albums? I know y'all at this weird stage, in history where y'all think Jay-Z is some terrible, horrible person who has no talent or whatever. But Jay-Z is one of the GOATs when it comes to rap. And Jay-Z don't have 10 albums. And he been rapping forever. So for everyone to be like, she's going to have 10 albums, for him to sign her to 10 albums, he knew what he was doing. He was making sure he had her under lock and key, so she couldn't go nowhere. And she couldn't make no money unless he gave her the money. That again puts you in a position where you have to do what someone else says because they control your livelihood. So for that to be something that they act like they just could not understand. She was just there because she wanted to be. Like, bruh, be fucking for real. And then there was a younger girl, a younger lady who was probably around about my age, maybe a year or two off, give or take. And she was just like, just some of the things that they were saying, I just couldn't believe. Like what Capricorn said. Like, her testimony just sounded so weird. I couldn't believe it. I remember Capricorn Clark from all the back in the day shows that Diddy used to do on MTV. And I remember her because I always used to be like, is her name actually Capricorn? Is that really her name? Or was she born in January, so she just goes by Capricorn? So that's how I remember Capricorn Clark. But if she's sitting here telling you this man is so dangerous that he put me in a position to where he said, hey, you know my enemy, that I tried to get killed per the LAPD and per federal agencies and agents. You're friends with him. If some shit go down, I'm blaming it on you and I'm gonna kill you. That's so far-fetched to believe that that would be said. That's so far-fetched. I couldn't believe it. Really? Not even a little bit? Because by now, Tupac is gone. Who was close to him. Who's close to both of them, actually. Biggie is gone. Who was close to him. Kim is gone, who was close to him. I'll Be Sure was almost gone, who was close to him by proxy of Kim. And what's the little boy name who want to be his son so bad? Quincy. Which, don't get me started. Because yeah. So all these people associated with Diddy is gone. And when I say gone, I mean from this earth. Or almost left this earth. But it's so far-fetched that he would tell someone that he would them. That's so what? I don't believe it. So again, this is why one of the reasons I say if those jurors weren't paid, it's giving you were paid. I'm just saying, it's giving that. What else? I just felt sad for her, for Capricorn. Me personally, like I said, I remember her on those shows, and I want to work for Diddy and the making the bands and all that stuff. And I just feel sorry for her because even watching those shows myself, I would always be like, I can never. He's not a reasonable person, so I can never. So I can only imagine what she went through dealing with that man. And it's sad. And for them to say, oh, because her testimony was emotional, she was emotional during her testimony, so she must not have gotten details right. That's bullshit. If something is upsetting as a person, you're going to feel the emotion that it causes. That doesn't mean you don't know what the fuck you're talking about just because you're emotional. Like, that was so lame. And then for it to be a black woman saying that, it was like, girl, okay. Anyways. What else? They kept showing the boys, his sons. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, they're innocent. Leave his kids alone. Them kids grown. Them kids is grown men. Yes, they are his kids, but they are not children. And honestly, little twin, the one that looked just like him, we already know that's a problem. He got his own lawsuits and all of that. But I ain't know that little light-skinned one. That's Wolf's baby. Allegedly, rumor has it. I didn't know that one was that one's problematic as well. That one looks like he be doped out of his mind as well. Allegedly. Just going off the looks. I test. I don't know anything. I don't know these people. But yeah. Yeah, and when Lil Rod was like, somebody might have got popped because of him. I don't doubt it. I honestly don't. Because that man has groomed those children to be just like him. Just like him. That's why they up under him so much. And I feel like it's partly grooming. He's groomed them and bullied them into being like him. So even if they wanted to go a separate way, I don't think they would have the capability, or they wouldn't have access to his money. And of course, when you grow up with access and all the money and all the things, you want to hold on to that. Even if it's from the person who might have killed your mom, right? Allegedly. But I mean, it's also been rumored for decades that Kim's death and that man go hand in hand. I didn't make it up. Rumor has it, allegedly. But if that's the case, you would think, especially for y'all to be so, we miss our mom, we love our mom, which you should, because that's your mother. You only get one of them. But again, for you to be so up the person who may have taken her out's asshole, you be so up it. It's very telling that you don't want to lose access to that money. So yeah, that's interesting. I always find that interesting. The way Quincy behaves, I feel, is interesting, because I get it as far as that's your stepdad, which he was not even your stepdad, because he never married your mom. But you don't want to give your real father any grace or any, just grace. I'll say grace. Especially when you look just like the nigga. Like, y'all look just alike. Like, spit them out. Identical. But you'd be so, my pops, talking about Diddy. I feel it's weird. It's weird to me. And again, all for step parent, even though we're not your step parent because he never married your mom. But again, if that were the case and rumor was out there that this man might be the reason why my mom is not here anymore, I'd fall back on him a little bit. But that's just me. But I just find him a little weird. Like I said, that little light skinned one with that Jerry curl, I didn't know he was much of a problem. I thought he might have been the only level-headed one, but nope. He seems to be a old chip off the old block as well, so something else you get to worry about in the future. Another thing that stood out to me was Aubrey O'Day has had her foot, on Diddy's neck since he kicked her out that group. And rightfully so. When I heard her testimony and what she had to say and what she read from someone's affidavit in court documents, where they testified that they walked in on her being sexually assaulted by Diddy and another guy. And so sad. So sad. Because when I grew up in the bad boy era. So when Making the Band came out, I was right there in front of the TV, watching along. Boom Cat. I'm surprised she wasn't a part of it, because Loriann is still one of the only people on record to date where he tried to go on her and Loriann went off on him. Another cancer. That's our thing, baby. We don't care who you're supposed to be. Come correct, or come correct. But anyway, I was there watching every episode, and I used to always see how he would just be so nasty and nitpicky and just constantly on Aubrey. And I was just always like, what is this? Like, why does he keep messing with her? Why does he keep bothering her? And I just saw the incessant bullying of her, particularly, that he used to do. He was bullying all of them, honestly. What he told Dee was that she was one cheeseburger away from being fat, even though she was stacked, okay? Pow, pow, pow. Looking like she had a BBL back then when BBLs wasn't even popping, okay? She body banging, but he told her she was fat and was telling, what was the short lead singer? I can't think of her name. Audrey. Yes, because it's Audrey and Aubrey. So Audrey, and I believe this is one of the reasons she don't want nothing to do with the music industry anymore to this day. How plain looking she was, and she boring, and she ain't this and that. Aubrey couldn't do her hair the way she wanted to. She couldn't put on her makeup the way she wanted to. Everything she said, he had a problem with. Everything she did, he had a problem with. And it was just always nitpicky. specifically with her, like I said, he always had something to say about all of them, but with her, it was just constant. So I always knew that there was something there, and I wasn't sure if, you know, it was just he was trying to push up on her and she just was like, no, because that's all, it was always what it seemed like he was just constantly trying to push up on her and she just was never with it or whatever. So he was mad about that. But when she was reading the affidavit and what the person testified to was that she actually walked in on Aubrey being drugged up, basically looking like she was drugged up. Of course, the lady wasn't there, so she doesn't know, but she looked like she was out of it per what the lady was saying. And Diddy was penetrating her and some other guy was in her mouth, you know. And even when she read it, she said she hadn't read that part, so she didn't know that. And you could tell it was just like, you saw it all drop on her, and for her to like process it like in real time watching it. And that was so sad because she was like, she don't even remember that. She don't remember it. She wasn't a heavy drinker or anything like that. So she, of course, ruled out that she was just so sloppy drunk because she wasn't a heavy drinker. But it just really, for her to see her come to the realization that she probably was sexually assaulted by him was just like, on top of she had emails where he had already been like, I want to do this to you, I want to do that to you, look at my penis, and da 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 da. So on top of reading that and finding out that even though you ignored all of those advances, he still probably had you anyway. So sad. Especially since Danity Kane, that group was so talented. Such a talented group. And for him to take such talent and just use it and manipulate it for what he wanted to do with it. His sick ass sexual deviance. Like, it's so gross, bro. It's so gross. And for people to know that and be like, free Diddy. It's like, what? Y'all just really don't give a fuck about people at all? Like, y'all don't care about nobody but yourself at all? This nigga ain't even got no talent for real. This nigga literally is the dancing DJ Khaled. He ain't got no talent. He never just dance around. Take that, bad boy, and all. He don't have no talent. But y'all so gassed up behind this man that y'all free him. Don't give a damn what he done did to these people for years and years and years. Like, come on. We gotta do better than this, bro. We gotta do better. Got to do better. Got to. Because it ain't a Diddy bop. It ain't a take that. Ain't a bridge, ad lib, nothing that nigga has said that is so good that I'm going to overlook all the bullshit and fuckery that we see that he's been doing. Like, come on. Like, it's crazy. It was just, like I said, it wasn't too much in there that really surprised me. Because again, I grew up in that era on top of now with the age of the internet where I'm around to read every article and everything that comes out. So it's nothing really surprising was there. It's just the most surprising thing of all of it was that he didn't get hit on that RICO charge. I'm so surprised that they didn't. I'm not surprised because of him being as manipulative as he is. And like I said, you can see that he's manipulative because he was going to use the footage that he recorded to manipulate. But to see all of that, like I said, for him to be so manipulative for so many years, and then just to see the trail of people that have been left behind in his wake, and him not get hit with that RICO. When the whole grounds and basis over RICO, and I know this because I write urban fiction books, so a lot of the stuff in those novels have to do with RICO activity and moving around in a RICO setting, or in a setting that could create a RICO charge rather. So the basis, without being too, in layman's terms, which is taking out all the legal jargon and all that shit. In layman's terms, a RICO charge is you are using a business as a cover to do illegal shit. If he is using bad boy money, bad boy credit cards, bad boy trips bad boy artist to create all these various crimes and do all this other stuff and get drugs here and buy the drugs with this and that. That would constitute a RICO charge because you are using the business, which is bad boy entertainment, to do illegal shit, i.e. pay for trips to take people to go have sex across state lines, buy drugs, pay to get people taken out of here. Except that's crime, illegal activity that is funded by a business, RICO charge. And the prosecution actually did a really good job. It was like, case, guilty verdict, platter, silver, here you go, jury. And it was like, no, but he's Diddy though. We like Diddy. That's brother love. Not guilty. What? And you can honestly tell that Jub Submarinian was also like, what? What? But of course, he could only do what he could do. So he handed out the 50 months for the charges that he was convicted of. And he basically said, I don't believe you've changed. And I don't see no change in you. I don't believe you've done anything to change. You've been getting away with bullshit for so long. I don't think you're going to change. So here's what I can do within the grounds of what you were charged for. So here you are. No bond though. Get my face. I think he was very disappointed in the verdict, honestly. That's why he was just like, all right, go, get on my face. Here's your time that you got, bye. And wasn't trying to hear nothing about anything else, about bond, bail, going, you know, time served, none of that. No, you're going to sit down for a minute because I don't think you've changed and we'll see what happens. And within like a week, his first week of doing time, he got in trouble for having liquor in there or whatever. You taking pictures with suspicious looking men, ladies, all hugged up on you. You got your baby oil in the back. Like, how you in prison with baby oil still? Like, he's not gonna stop. And because he basically really got off on it, once he gets out, it's just gonna keep going. Yeah, people may disassociate with him for like a year or two once he gets out. But they'll forgive and forget. They always do. Always. So it was interesting. It was actually, like I said, I actually watched it because 50 Cent was EP in it. So I thought it would be a lot more petty than it actually was. It was actually had a lot of journalistic integrity. Actually, it was actually very good and very put together, and the interviews were great. I thought it was just gonna be a little bit more petty. I thought it was gonna be more TMZ than it was, and that's just a little bit of petty in me, I guess. But it was good. It was a good documentary. It was just, like I said, it just confirmed that, oh, you thought this nigga was crazy? You don't even know the half. Like, he crazy, like batshit out of his mind. And anyone who came into his orbit, honestly, pretty much suffered the consequence for it. I don't really think that there is one person that worked with that man and it benefited them, if they're really honest. Now, of course, there'll be some hang-alongs and some, tag-alongs that'll be like, oh yeah, sure, Diddy's the best, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo, because they still getting paid. But real actual experience, real character, that shit is shown when you get in trouble and who sticks up for you. And we saw clear as day when he got in trouble with nobody standing up for him. People show out in droves for his parties, right? For that fucking brunch that he always have and all of that, would come every year faithfully. But once that nigga got in trouble, you on your own, because they know and we know, oh, he did that shit. Whatever they say he did that shit. Okay? So if you haven't watched the documentary, I would actually implore you to do so. It was pretty good. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Probably would give it a 5 out of 5 if I didn't already know a lot of that stuff. But it was good. Like I said, to see Kirk tell his story, to see Mark tell his story, and Mark is hilarious. He actually talks about this part. He has a part where he's talking about a rap that he wrote, that he had ghostwritten for him. And he was just saying, he did the example of how he did it and how he wrote or whatever. And then he did the example of how Diddy was doing in the studio. And he was just like, bro, I did not say that. It had me cracking up. Oh my gosh. But yes, Mark hates him, of course, as he should. I just feel bad. Even for Kalina, which, you know what I'm saying? Because again, so much talent. So much potential, and we're just trying to, live their dream and end up getting caught up in some bullshit. And that sucks. That always fucking sucks. So I'm glad that they got to tell their story, their side, their point of view, and I hope they all can start their healing process because again, that'll fuck you up. If you sit here trusting somebody to help you achieve a goal and they just take advantage of you, whether that's taking advantage of you financially, physically, emotionally, just all the things, like, that's a lot to deal with. So I hope that this helped them get a little bit of a release, let some of that go, and hopefully some way, somehow they can get some of their money that they are owed. Because come on, man, ain't no way this man sitting on multi-millions. Of course, we don't know how much he got now because all these lawsuits, you got like 100 lawsuits against you, and them to not get their dues because it's all in his pocket and bank accounts. And in his mama name, because that's where all this stuff at, in his mama name. And another thing, mamas. Mamas especially, because I'm a boy mom myself. So this was a cautionary tale. Raise these children. These children are not substitute husbands or boyfriends. Your son is your son. So you need to raise him as such. You don't need to expose him to things he does not need to be exposed to prematurely. You do not need to give him responsibilities that he does not need prematurely. He is a child. So let the child be a child as long as he can be one, because the world is going to grow him up, especially if the child is a black child. The world is going to grow him up fast enough. He don't need your help. You should be looking after your child. You should be raising your child. You should be teaching your child right from wrong. And when you don't put the energy and effort into doing that, they grow up to slap you around and slap other women around because they never saw a woman that was worth shit. We got to stop doing this shit with blurring the lines between being a boy mom and that boy child being a substitute partner for the mom, because that's not how this shit works. Again, I'm a boy mom myself. I have 2 sons. My children are sons. I don't have any daughters. But I be damned. They are not, they're my children. And they are treated as such. And it's a weird thing that happens. And I saw a post on Facebook that brought this around and was like, where some women treat their sons in a way, like I said, that it's like that's their man. I feel like when you do that, you start the makings of a monster. And that's what happened with Janice and Sean. She made a monster. She exposed him to shit that he should not have been exposed to as a child. Not as no little ass boy. And then, like I said, no one would ever told him no. He kept getting away with shit. So it's like, we got to raise these boys to be men, responsible men who care about others and care about women and care about things other than money and impressing other men. Right? Like I said, I say that in relation to him, and then it trickles down to Misha, which is light-skinned Dreyfus' son. That's his mom. She posted something on the internet. Like, oh, my son is getting bad rep. He's got bad flack. My baby's an angel and all. Girl, shut your ass up, because you ain't raised that boy either. You cared more about the money and the access and the fame and the status that came from being tied to that man. Because word on the curb, allegedly, is he used to drag your ass around too. To the point where you running and hiding under cars and shit to avoid him. But instead of raising your child and dealing with not having the access, not having all the bags and the money and whatnot, you caping for this man? And now that your child is going down a road modeled after this man you caping after so bad, you want to sit here and say, oh, my son is such an angel. No, he didn't do anything. He's an angel. Girl, bye. Okay? You're part of the problem as well. You're part of the problem as well. Oh, last thing, because I just thought about this, and this was surprising. Kim and Cassie's dynamic. Kim and Cassie. Now, of course, Diddy always, Kim was the love of my life. Oh, I loved her so much. Oh, love of my life, best woman in the world. Even though you weren't faithful to her, you wouldn't marry her, and you was beating her ass, but she's the love of your life, love of your life, love of your life. Okay, whatever. The relationship that he had with Cassie and Kim, I knew that the timelines overlapped, but I didn't know it was so blatant in the overlapping, to the point where there was like footage of him on a red carpet and they both were there. And he just took pictures with one, did all this posy pose thing, turned to the other, took the pictures, did the whole posy pose thing, then got them together and did the posy pose thing. What? Just blatant disrespect, right? But that's the love of your life, love of your life, love of your life. A fucking mess, man. He's a mess. And everything that they say he did, I absolutely believe, in my opinion, which I am entitled to have under the United States Constitution, is that he did everything that they say he did. 1000% believe it. Absolutely. But yeah, that is the reckoning. That is my take on it. I wish he was in jail longer, honestly. He didn't get enough time in my book, but I wasn't on the jury. Because if I was on the jury, we would have been there for a while, because I would have been the one that they'd be like, all right, bitch, you need to make a decision. And I would have been like, no, I feel like he's guilty on all counts. And we probably still would have been deliberating right now today. Because no, ma'am, he didn't get enough time. He didn't get enough time in my book. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be this video. I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I could ramble about this for hours upon hours upon hours, but I won't. I'll spare you. So until the next video, do all the things you're supposed to do on this YouTube thing to make it do what it's supposed to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share if you care. And until the next video, I may be late, but hey, I'm reacting. Talk to you later. Bye.